Okay, so this is what the Pandora's Box 6 has been delivered in. Classical arcades game station, professional design and reliable quality. Maybe. Let's see, apparently it's got top brand component and chipset, a green low power design, hundreds of classic arcade games, which I'm quite clean about, super high video resolution, and bits of fluid game control experience. Alright, and on the other side, professional design and comprehensive roadmap, whatever that means. Reliable quality, global recognised. Flexible configuration, rapid service, and awards and exclusive, and technical support. I don't think any of that means anything at all. Right, I'm going to open it up now. Okay, so inside the box we have got a 3-meter HDMI cable, a USB cable, spare buttons, a UK plug adapter, which is very handy for me, and a power supply. Okay, let's get this off. And here is the main thing, the Pandora's Box 6. Okay, I'll get this out. Okay, so this panel design is based on Street Fighter V. You've got Ryu there. You've got your 6 action buttons, your 1-player start and pause, 2-player start, pause, 6 buttons, and another joystick. Okay, I think these are supposed to be Sanwa buttons, but they don't really feel like it. I imagine they're clones. Right, let's have a look around the back. What have we got here? Okay, so we've got a USB. We've got the old school component connectors. Might be quite good if you've got an old style television. Another USB. A HDMI and a power in. Anything else? I cannot see. Oh, there's a little tiny one there. Can you see that? Some kind of reset button, perhaps? We will see. Okay, so what we don't have here is a VGA. That's quite unusual these days. And what we also don't have is a power on button. That really is quite odd. Okay. Right, I'll open it up for you in a moment. Okay, so there's only 2 tiny screws here beneath there, and where's the other one gone? There we are. So you can now pop the lid, have a look at what's going on under the hood. Okay, so these look like you could replace the buttons very easily with genuine Sanwa. Same with the joystick on both sides, obviously. Now the main thing that's interesting here is that the actual board looks tiny. It doesn't look like a jammer board at all like the old Pandora's boxes. It seems to have a separate joystick encoder board. So I don't think this is genuine Pandora's box at all. But we'll see. The actual build quality of the box itself feels quite good though. So it's early days, we'll see how we get on. Right, I'll set it up now and have a go on it. Okay, well I've had the Pandora's Box 6 for a few days now. I've had a bit of a mess around with it on and off. And it's not entirely terrible, but it does have a few shortcomings, which I'll point out to you. First one, which I've mentioned already, it doesn't have a power switch, so I'm literally just going to plug this in and it'll come on. So it comes on as an Arcade Box Super, which I think is what it actually is. I don't think it's got any kind of relationship to the Pandora's Box. Okay, so the good thing about this is it has 1,099 titles, very few repeats. So, and if you like beat 'em ups, there's loads of those. especially King of Fighters. So you keep flicking through King of Fighters, then you start getting to your Street Fighters, Last Blade, Breaker's Revenge, more Street Fighters, World Heroes, a lot of SNK beaten ups on here, Samurai Showdown. I'm going to flick forward a bit, I start getting to different genres. Oh. Metal Slug, very good game. So you got all the way up to 5, it doesn't have 6 on it. So here's where I kind of get to my first gribble with this. It doesn't really seem to be organised very well. First of all, it's just in genre, so it started out with beat 'em ups and went on to side-scrolling beat 'em ups, etc. But if you carry on down the list, they're just scattered all over the place, and it's really hard to find the games you want to. Especially when you get to my second niggle. The naming convention of some of these games are terrible. I don't know what's happening when they're being translated from Chinese. Let's try and find a good example here. So some of them have got their names perfect, you know, you've got your Metal Slugs, etc., Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. So here we've got King of the Monsters and the old SNK dinosaur beat them up. And on here it's just called Melting King. I don't know why they've done it the way they have. First I thought it might have been because of copyright things, but because it's so inconsistent I don't think it's that. But there's some really bizarre naming conventions on here. Trying to find some, what was my favourite one? Oh, I can't find the one I was looking for now. That's very annoying. So here, for example, we've got Iron Horse and it's coming up as Express Raider, which are 2 different games entirely. That's quite frustrating. You've got G.I. Joe coming up as Cobra Forces. Devastators is coming up as Demolition Man, not the older Sylvester Stallone movie. Simpsons is coming up as Simpson Family, but that's not too bad really. Here you've got Double Dragon and Double Dragon 2, but you've not got the original Double Dragon. It's the SNK beat 'em up Double Dragon, but they've included Double Dragon 2 instead, which is a bit strange. But thankfully they've not included Double Dragon 3 because that was a terrible game. So here you've got Ghouls and Ghosts, I can't even pronounce that, it's Dai Makai Mura, which I think was the old original Japanese name. So that's not too bad. Okay, you've got Alien Syndrome, which is down as Alien Invasion. Haunted Castle you've got as Castlevania, which they kind of are related, but it's not strictly accurate. You've got Mercs, the old Capcom shooter, which is Operation WoW 2. Trojan. I don't know if you remember this one, it was quite a good game back in the day. But this one, they've got called Fight for the Song, which makes no sense to me at all. Jailbreak you've got as Manhattan. Rastan you've got as Nastar. There's loads of really odd examples in here. It just doesn't make much sense to me at all. Highway Predator instead of a Russian Crash. In fact, let's have a quick play on this, see what that actually comes up as. So you just press a button, it loads up pretty much straight away. Right, okay, so this one's Speed Rumbler. So depending on what region you're in, it's either Russian Crash or the speedrun blur. Okay, let's have a go. So to be fair, the emulation is pretty good on this. Looks pretty good so far, solid. I used to love this game back in the day, but I suspect I'm going to be terrible at it now when I play. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that, to be fair. So to get out of it, you just press the pause button and it gives you the options to continue playing. You can save it, you can load up an old save game, or you can just exit, which is what I'm going to do. So the thing with the name conventions, it makes it so tricky. You have to like look at the videos, and because they're not really sorted in any usable order, I think it's really hard to find the game you're after. It becomes a bit of a memory test. Here's one I wanted to point out to you. R-Type, Alien Sky, and Alien Sky 2. And here is one I looked at, which I thought was quite washed out. So, Nemesis or Gradius, depending on where you come from. Let's have a look at this one. I'm not sure how well this is going to be picked up on the screen. So here's one I played, and for some reason, it just looks really washed out. And the sound seems to just click a little bit. So we start. Okay, here we go. So there seems to be no real colour. Well, there's a bit of colour, but it just seems really washed out. And this shouldn't really be an issue, because this is quite an old game, isn't it? And I'm terrible at this game. Still. And that joystick's not very responsive sometimes. So I know it's not Sandware, but you do expect it to do what you want it to. Right. I'm going to do a bit of a comparison with this, with a different version of Nemesis I've got on a Raspberry Pi. So the colours aren't very good on here, they all seem a bit sort of blotchy. Right, okay. So if we stop that and go over to the Raspberry Pi version. Okay. So this is my Raspberry Pi that I set up probably about 6 months ago. I don't really mess with anymore. I should do, really. So if we launch Nemesis off this, okay, so the colours are sharper. It seems a better definition for some reason. I don't know what it is. This game doesn't seem to be very well emulated on the. In fact, it seems a little bit quicker as well, I'd say. It's a much nicer experience. So, you know, a Raspberry Pi, I mean, they're £30, so it's not like it's top-end stuff, really. And I'm not getting any better at playing this game. There we go. But yeah, like the mountains and the grass, they just look so much nicer on this. A much nicer playing experience. And it should really be the same ROM, so I'm not entirely sure what that's the case. Okay, right, we'll leave that for now. Go back to our other one. I've shot past it. Right, some of these games don't actually play properly. Let's try and find an example of one. Let's go. I think there's one at the top end of the menu. Oh, Shinobi Super Ninja. Great name. Space Area, Space Time Harry. Ah, here's one. So Super Boxing, which you can, if you look at it, it's the old Nintendo Super Punch-Out. We play on this. Well, we try to, but we can't actually do anything. If you remember the old arcade version, that was on split screen. So it looks like it's just showing us to one screen. And whatever I press, I can't seem to get the game to actually start. So it seems like they're a little bit sloppy with some of the ROMs they've picked. So you can see the game's actually going on. I can't do anything about it. I can't see anything. So it's like, why have you picked this ROM? I don't know. Yeah, just a bit careless, I guess. Okay, we'll come off there. Ah, here's one that I noticed that's really weird. So if you look at the name, it's called Baby Breakup. You look at the video, it looks like an R-Type. So you can go on there. It's not R-Type. So it's actually called Risky Challenge. So it's not Baby Breakup, it's not R-Type. So it's really, I keep hammering this point, but it's really tricky to see what's going on with some of these games. Okay, leave that. I'm trying to find another example of a game that doesn't work properly. Ah, Outrun, here's one. So the old Sega Racing Classic. I used to love the music on this. Okay, So the first thing you'll notice is that the emulation isn't very good on it for a start. So it's really slow emulation. But the thing I've noticed with this is, once you start driving, there's no way of changing the gear. So if you look in the corner, there's like a low and a high. You can't go into high gear, so really this game's pretty pointless, even if you look past the slow emulation speed. Which is a bit of a sloppy mistake to make. And what was the other? Oh, here's one. I think Moonwalker. This ROM just is completely knackered. So you can kind of play the game, but it's a mess. Now this is a game that's miles better than the movie. So if you look here, all the backgrounds everywhere, I can't see what's going on, I can't move properly, I'm not sure which way I'm going. Come here, Bubbles. So, I mean, I am playing him, but it's not right at all, is it? Okay. I think the main example I was going to show you, the one that didn't work, is a game called Midnight Resistance. Okay, so I wanted to show you Midnight Resistance. So I don't know if you remember this game. It was like by Data East about 1988, and it had a funny joystick. So I don't know if you remember Ikari Warriors. It had like a nub built into the joystick, and you could twist it around, and then your gun would move around here and there. So this game had the same feature. There's no way for me to move my gun around, I'm afraid. So my gun can only point right instead of being able to go 360 degrees. So it's okay at this point, but when I get further into the game, it just makes the game pretty unplayable. So I can't shoot at these guys to the left of me. I can't shoot diagonal. So there's not a lot I can do with this game, I'm afraid. Very frustrating. Now, another feature, I say feature, quirk of this system is there's no way of changing the screen size for your vertical shoot 'em ups, for example. So let's try and find a good example. Here we go, we go back to Mercs. So even though we've all got widescreens now, these vertical games back in the day were a lot narrower than the 4x3 screens we used to use. Okay, here we go. So if you look at this, it's quite stretched out, even more so than you would expect for a widescreen. And there's that, other than adjusting your TV manually to improve it slightly, there's not a lot you can do about it. Well, yes, I used to like this game quite a lot. Okay, I'd now like to show you one of the features that I do like about it. It does have the ability to add extra games to it. So all you need to do is get yourself a pen drive like so, create a folder called Game in, then you can drop your own ROMs in. They have to be from MAME 0.139, I'm afraid. And it has been a bit hit and miss, the ones I've got to work on not. I don't know if you've seen the adverts on eBay, for example, for the Pandora's Box 6, but they seem to imply you can load on Nintendo and Sega games. I've not been able to figure out how to do this, I'm afraid. I've been experimenting with a few different folder names. I don't seem to have cracked it. I've gone back to the eBay seller and they've sort of referred me back to their technical department, but I'm not really expecting a response from them. So I suspect you can really just load up arcade games. So it's still a pretty cool feature. So all you do is get your USB and stick it in the back in the USB port. Just give it a few seconds to read it. If you can see here, I've got 4 ROMs I've loaded on. So you've got my 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it goes back to the standard list again. Okay, so you've got 1942, the old vertical shoot 'em up. And here's one that's not worked because I've not picked the right version. You can normally tell within a few seconds if it's not going to work. So let's try 1942B. So there is a bit of experimentation, trial and error, which ones actually work. And now you can see this one's actually worked okay. So this plays quite nicely. I mean, the screen's still a bit stretched, but it's not too bad. Okay. Right, so the next game I loaded on here was Mortal Kombat, which bizarrely enough a system that has so many beat-em-ups on here, you'd think this would be one of the ones that are on here. But when you play it for a bit, the emulation is pretty shoddy. So maybe that's the reason why they didn't put it on, but it doesn't seem to have stopped them in other cases, so I don't know. So you can hear straight away the sound's a bit yucky, it's a bit glitchy, jerky, it's not been emulated well at all. So you can see it scrolling down, jerky, slow. Right, I'm fighting Sonya. Very badly, I would imagine. So yeah, you can play it, but it's slow, it's not the best at all. So I'll do a little comparison with the Raspberry Pi again. Okay. So we flick over again. You see what it loads up on the Raspberry Pi. Here we go, I'll be Kano again. Much smoother. Colour seem more vivid as well for some reason. Just don't think it's a HDMI cable. I have tried those. That seems to be better on this version as well. Spoke too soon. But yeah, it's a lot smoother. It just plays a lot better. I'd say this is pretty much spot on, close to spot on to the arcade version. But anyway, there we go. Okay, the last thing I wanted to show you, it's actually got a settings button on the back. It's tiny. If you just press it in, Okay, so you've got an input-output test, so you can test your joysticks. It's quite handy in this case because I've got a bit of a glitch on mine. So the first player is fine. Up, left, right, down, A, B, C, D, E, F, all fine. Lovely. Second player on the other hand, joystick's fine, but the buttons A, B, C, D work fine. Your E and your F, they seem to be some kind of welding issue. If you look at that, E and F depressed both at the same time. So I need to try and see if I can sort that out. I can't bother to send it back to China to get them to look at it or give me some money because that'll take months if it would ever happen at all. Okay. You can change your game settings, so the difficulty. Your games list, so if you want to take out some ones that don't work, like your outruns, for example, your moonwalkers. And you can edit the game's favourite list. So if you don't want to look at your King of Fighters first, you can have, I don't know, Wrestle War, select that, go back, and save setting and reboot. So now the first game you'll see is Wrestle War rather than King of Fighters 97 to every year ever since. Okay. And that was the last thing I wanted to show you. So really, in summary, would I recommend the Pandora's Box 6? In all honesty, I can't. It does have some good features. I love being able to add the ROMs via my own USB stick. That's great. It's plug and play. I like the layout. But the emulation on a lot of games is quite glitchy. It seems washed out. It's quite slow in some cases. The naming conventions drive me bonkers, as I've probably alluded to a few times. I think when I compare it to my Raspberry Pi, which was an awful lot cheaper, I think the Raspberry Pi is a lot better for an emulation option. It is a lot more work to set up, but the end result is a lot better. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you once again. Bye.